And yeah, so I guess we can get going.
Sure.
So we would start this as a public meeting, it's May 10th, 2017, Nottingham Planning Board. This is the Roads Planning Subcommittee, and I'll just go around the room really quickly if you want to introduce yourselves.
Teresa Bascom.
Mike Russo, Zoning Board.
Dirk Rotenheis. Joe Clough. And so this is a subcommittee, it's a public hearing, it's a public meeting. We don't have anything else on our agenda. This is more of a workshop, so we're just really going to be talking mostly, all about roads in Nottingham. This subcommittee is the first meeting of it, and we're really trying to get our hands around what we have in our master plan currently, if we need to be thinking about other things to make town safer, adjust for future planning, those kind of things. So I'm the chairman, I guess, of this subcommittee. Did you get one of these? I had like a quick agenda, or not quick, but it's more like a list of things. Some of them are listed in the master plan section of the transportation section of the master plan. And so this comes out of kind of, the planning board prioritized some of the issues we wanted to talk about, and roads was one of them. And it was pretty much just a safety discussion or concern, and some bicycle concerns, and then just kind of free flow after that. So I think really we want to make sure that we're in line with the master plan, and I know, Mike, you just said you had some play in developing that. There's a lot of facts and there's a lot of statistics in here. Some of them are a little bit outdated as far as maybe crash data and things like that. We might want to revisit sometime. But if you have a summary of what the intent was, that would be great, of when this master plan was developed.
Trying to think, it was a long process. I think it was a multi-year process, at least 3 or 4 years we were doing that. And it was the first real serious rewrite in a long time. So maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
At least, I think.
Yeah.
So on the transportation section, I don't remember details, but I know one of the big pieces was just to be mindful of our rural character and not make everything that we build a superhighway. And also, whenever 152, which is our major arterial road in this town, I think it might be the only one that's classified that. 156 maybe as well.
Yeah.
That when the state goes to do that, that we get on board and perhaps widen it a little bit so that we can have safe passage for bicycles. Because right now it's dangerous to be bicycle or pedestrian on that route.
It is, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I think we started talking about in our planning board meeting. And on the state routes, what is happening in some communities is they're requesting or petitioning, when DOT goes out and restripes it, that they reduce the lane widths. So there's a required lane, not required, but standard lane width of say 12 feet, 12 to 14 feet for a lot of the roads, like 156 and 152. Route 4 is actually a little bit wider.
Right.
And what I've seen is that communities are requesting those to go less than the 12 feet. So some are 11 feet and some maybe 10 and a half, and those are still all fall within federal highway guidelines, especially for the volumes that we see on those roads.
Yeah.
So with that, it allows a little bit more shoulder width for bicycles, because now it's really just a 1 foot shoulder, if that, the fog line, and then there's 1 foot beyond that to the edge of the pavement, and that's not a safe place to ride.
No.
So that it's a matter of now we would need to find out when they're going to either repave it or restripe it. to make sure that we don't miss that kind of cycle.
Mhm.
So that's something we want to make sure we're doing.
Do they send notification, or is it kind of a mystery, or do they publish a thing and you're supposed to watch the list? I don't know.
Yeah, they do, they should notify the town when they're going to be repaving. I'm sure that they do it. I just don't know whether they're doing it after it's too late to talk to them,
Right.
because you'd want to make sure you're there ahead of time, you know, so that they can
It'd be good
provide
to,
the striping plan to the contractor that's doing it, or
right.
their own.
It'd be good for us to be in the pre-planning stage,
Yeah,
the planning or the pre-planning stage, so we don't miss the boat.
I don't remember at that roads workshop we went to, if he said anything about that, but
I don't
if
think-
you want, I can take a look and have that information for our next meeting as to
Sure.
how that works and if and when we're on the list.
Mm.
Okay.
one of the things that you can do, and it's something that's almost immediate, and I've had it on the second page of the handout, is that the top one is a sign that says, 3 feet, that's the minimum required distance for a car to pass a bicyclist in the state of New Hampshire.
Wow.
And the state and I think through the RPC, towns can get these signs for like $12.
Nice.
And they're metal signs, just like you see on the high roadsides. The town has to install them, but they give you all of the posts, and you're allowed to sign them on the state routes, not just the town routes, but this would be on, so this is something that the town could do immediately
Yeah.
and make things a little bit safer as far as the notification that there's bicycles on the road.
Yeah.
And those could be put on 156 and 152. So, I think
I think it would help. I think it would raise awareness.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about potentially soliciting from local bicycle clubs that they might be able to help with that and put some sort of signage of their own? I thought there was I might not be remembering the planning board meeting from a couple months ago, but.
Yeah, it's signage in roadways it's difficult. It's complicated only in the fact that there's only certain allowable regulatory signs or guidance signs that are allowed in the public right-of-way.
Okay.
So unless,
Usually as you enter a town, don't they usually have like that one post that has like the Knights of Columbus meet here on this Tuesday and?
yeah, it could be a posting like that.
Yeah.
Those are public, or not public, but they're
Information.
community.
General interest.
Yeah, general interest
Yeah.
communities. Yeah. They could put information on something like that at the borders. But as far as for the motoring public, they have to have it's gotta be the yellow on black, which is warning, or the white on black, or black on white, which is a regulatory, so. And they have to meet MUTCD, the maintenance guidelines for signs for the federal, so.
So how far apart can those signs be? Because if we put just one at one end and one at the other end, there's, and you've got that distance of 152 and 156, people could be encountering a bicyclist anywhere on
I think you'd
those.
want them also coming from both directions at the intersection with 156, so that people coming off of 156 onto 152 in either direction see it also, get reminded.
I think that's probably an exercise that we could do, and I'm happy to do it, is just look at the sign spacing that we might want to recommend. And then I can come to the next meeting with a map of that. And then that can be determined how many signs we would like to have. And then it could be, a budget item. I'll contact the RPC, find out exactly what the cost is and procedure to get them. And then we can put it forward to, I don't know, whoever wants, as far as information. And
I don't know, is there any other places in town we'd want to see those?
Well, I didn't,
well, you probably want them all the way up to Route 4.
Right.
you know, because it's pretty well-ridden. I mean, you see cyclists on it all the time. Stepping back, I mean, I think that's something that we want to, the community should have, is a safe route to bicycle. And we see, I see at least, a lot of bicycles on 152 and 156, because they are generally low-volume roads comparable to like a 125, you know, or, you know, roads to the south and Route 4. So they're desirable and they're long lengths, you know, so, and they make good connections to different things, whether it's UNH and whatnot.
Even though the highway speeds on Route 4 are a lot higher, I feel way safer because I'm further from the traffic than
Yeah, you got the
152.
distance.
152 makes me nervous.
Yeah,
And Route 4, I'm fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you've got the shoulder.
Right.
But I can also tell you that I had a cousin who was killed just checking his mailbox on Route 4
Ooh,
in
yeah.
Barrington.
Really?
Yes, really. Yeah. But it was from a driver falling asleep. It was a boxcar. The
Oof.
driver fell asleep and killed him
Could've-
instantly. So although we do have the safer lane, we can only do so much based on human
Right.
error and stuff.
Yeah.
But another area North River, don't forget Nottingham goes through that area too as well. It's a short distance, but we
On
still have.
Mercrillis, are you thinking?
No, I'm thinking on 202.
Oh, just the other side of the lake.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and I do bike there.
yeah.
I don't even,
Yeah, if you go Northwood, Nottingham, then Barrington, it's a short distance, but we do touch in through there
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think might be, on one side of that road, there might be 2 or 3 houses that are in Nottingham.
Yeah, I don't know how many, but I know that we do have a section of community there as well, because
Yeah.
we're kind of a spread out
Mm.
town, which makes it difficult when you're trying to think of what can we do for the townspeople.
Mm.
Maybe Northwood could put one up right on the line for us.
But we could even,
We could put it in our little zone there.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think they might take care of maintenance on that road. I don't know that our guys go over there and plow.
That's state anyway.
202 is state,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like our 156 and
Right, that's true. And that actually,
152.
spiking on that is actually sketchier even than 152.
Yeah, because there's not much, it's a
There's-
lake area,
Right. Yeah, there's no place to take any land for a shoulder.
right? And you've got the corners
Right.
as well, because that's a pretty,
Yeah, there's been a couple of times that I've been like, oh my God, the guy almost touched me.
well, I had that the other day just walking with Zeke, going up 156. Some guy just did not want to move over. And I've got him in a stroller, and he was right beside me, and I went like this as he's going by. I'm like, move over.
I mean, maybe it's just a notification we send to Barrington Northwood that we had this conversation and hey, we're thinking of putting these in some of our routes in town and we know Nottingham touches 202. Is this something you're interested in?
yeah, and I was at one of the RPC meetings, and the woman from Northwood is pretty engaged in.
They have a new town
bicycle.
manager? Or is it from the
No,
planning board?
it's just someone that's on the planning board, I think.
Okay.
And she's been looking at the same purchasing of these signs for Northwood as well, so
Okay.
I don't think it would be any push to
Yeah.
get them to do anything, I mean,
Yeah.
to do that. I can reach out to her.
Sue also asked about, was it having somebody from a bike group or whatever join us? Isn't that one of the things she had said?
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, it's,
Anybody from the community is welcome to come in and be
Yeah.
part of this.
I don't think we need an expert, I think we've got
No.
enough, if you cycle a lot, and I design a whole bunch of pedestrian bicycle facilities, so I think should be covered.
Could we get data from the police on any incidents or anything and just find out if there's any spots that,
Is it
I've had
something you
more-
want to do?
sure.
The only other place I think that people might be riding their bicycles that's heavy access is maybe Flutter Street, as people and kids in the summer
Yeah, to
cut
get to the
across
lake.
to the town beach. That's the only other place that I, thinking about it in town, that there would be that car-bicycle interaction that might not.
And there's a lot of corners in that road, so, well, not Flutter, but Deerfield Road, I'm thinking,
Right.
might be a good spot to remind folks. I know I go out there on my motorcycle because of the curves, and I can imagine a cyclist would find the same joy that I do.
Yeah, I think people just need to be reminded that it's a share of the road. You don't have the right to the whole entire road just because you've got the motor vehicle.
Mhm.
There are bicyclists and pedestrians that
Right.
you should be careful of.
The other place that you can get at least cycling data is through Strava, which is an online kind of crowdsourced information cyclists use to map the routes, to check or to run their cycles and all of that kind of stuff. So that actually has data, but that's mostly used in kind of urban areas where there's a lot of cyclists. So in our area, I don't know that we get much.
Probably get a chuckle.
Yeah.
Although we are a major route for some races that come through.
That's another thing, is it's something that we should, I don't know if promote is the right word, but, there are a couple of races that come through.
Yeah.
And, our community has a number of gravel roads, and that's becoming even more popular than riding on gravel roads is becoming popular as street riding is, and road riding. So they're selling specific bikes that are hybrids with bigger tires, but they're still very light. They're not a mountain bike. And I see them all the time. I live on a dirt road, so they're riding those roads all the time, and they have some races and stuff up there. The one that I'm thinking of is, it's got to be at least a 50-mile race because they go through multiple communities. And, it's something that, maybe we could capture, who knows, some community money or community, goodwill or something to promote them or help promote those type of races, and maybe more would come here and then more would spend money here.
There used to be a big mountain bike race in Pawtuckaway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they always accessed through the south side.
Yeah.
I was in it with a friend from work, and I was the stoker on a tandem. Scariest bicycle ride of my life. Whew, not being in control.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have the brakes. I don't have I just pedal.
Just pedal. Head down and pedal.
Yep, that's it.
Exercise and trust.
Yeah.
Might be worth looking at the action plan. There's a number of items in here I see that reference bicycle safety or different suggested actions. So for example, 1.5, work with the DOT to reduce speed limits on a couple of the state routes for pedestrian bicycle usage.
I wondered about that, but it's 40 miles an hour. I don't think they'll go any lower on those roads.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Probably not.
Most people don't do 40.
Yeah, the prevailing speed's higher than already
Fif-
than
Oh, yeah.
posted, so.
I go the speed limit, and I know I make some people angry. It's like, hey, pass me if you want.
I guess my thinking is, if we take the stuff that's in the action plan, if we say that it doesn't make sense, then we can document in the subcommittee. We'll get
Yeah.
rid of it, and the
Yeah,
ones
that
that
we-
are actionable.
Yeah, we considered it and it got dismissed, or,
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other, I don't think there's any other places in town that I would say that they're misaligned.
As far as speed limits?
Yeah.
Well, I
Most
think
of our
it-
roads are 30 or 20 anyway,
I
aren't they,
think
or
all of
25
them
or
are,
something?
yeah, all of the roads are posted at 25.
Yeah.
All town roads are posted at 25 with the exception of the state roads.
Correct, which we can't. I mean, if it was 55, then I would say, especially through here, we could
It should be
petition
a
them to
lot
go
slower.
40.
But we have
whether
it
it's
30
already-
through the town center.
And they don't do that either, but yeah, that's what it's posted as.
Well, I mean, it comes down to enforcement too.
Yeah,
so,
it's an enforcement issue, really, not the posting issue.
Yeah, I think the speed limits are probably posted probably lower than even some communities have. I mean, usually see them 45,
Yeah.
we have it 40, which is good, and then 30 through the town center.
Do we have to vote on, so if we brought this to the full committee, would we have to vote on striking something like that from the master plan, or how does that work?
No, I think it's just, the master plan is just kind of the living document that we try and go through, and then the next update of the master plan will have already addressed that.
It
And
won't be there.
I mean, we'll have.
Gotcha.
We'll have somewhere in the minutes of a meeting that we would have, like this subcommittee might just say, recommend taking that out as an action, because this committee has reviewed it and feels that its speed limits are appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we do.
Did you see another one, Joe?
There's a few, yeah. So in section 2, which is encourage, develop, maintain a range of non-automotive transportation alternatives easily accessible to residents of Nottingham. Another, work with the DOT to assure that state bridges are rebuilt or reconstructed with adequate space for sidewalks, bicycle lanes. So maybe in that same action of what roads are they going to be doing maintenance on, as you were saying, that make sure they're wide enough for bicycles. I don't know if there are any bridges in town that are up for renewal, but
I mean, we had a few bridges that were reconstructed within the past, 6-7 years. Some state bridges.
The North River
But-
one, did they have the sidewalk on it now, right out here?
Right.
I don't know of any other one on.
That's the only piece of sidewalk there is in this town, I think.
Yep. It is, we need that longer.
Well, that's addressed another place in the master plan, is about developing the downtown area.
Yeah.
2.2, develop a long-range plan for bicycling and pedestrian facilities, paths, sidewalks, case in point, around town center, Nottingham Square,
Yeah.
and the school.
Yeah, ideally, it'd be nice if somebody could commute from the school to the town center via alternative route,
Yeah.
other than,
Yeah.
just driving in a car in 152. I think that was the long-range vision of the committee, master plan committee.
You mean through either a bike path or a sidewalk?
Bike path, nature path,
Yep.
yeah.
How wide is the easement along that corridor, along the road?
I don't know.
Yeah, along the state route?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're usually 80 feet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's considerable room,
Yeah.
but it's the infrastructure costs of putting in, even if it's a
Dirt
gravel
path.
path,
Yeah.
there's some cost to it.
Well, they had said that the state, if you petition them, would look at the sidewalks, but once they're in, it's the town's responsibility to take care of them.
Yeah.
So unless we have people who are willing to go out and shovel the sidewalk in the snow, and then repair it at other times, and there may be, I mean, if enough people are really interested in having this connection, we may be able to get people willing to do it, that runs out, even if we had a sidewalk just on one side.
Yeah, that's what I would envision.
Just the one side,
Yeah.
not both sides of the road, just one side that runs this whole, on this, as you're going east. If you had it just on the left-hand side, so that it connects the
Connection
school
of
to the town,
Here
to the
to
library.
library and,
And actually, on the other side of the school to Freeman Hall Road would give kids access to the school and other people's access to the school, and then feeding out to that whole section of town. You wouldn't have to go the whole length of 152, but, I mean, that's only like a half a mile from the school beyond to Freeman Hall.
yeah, and there's grants available.
Right.
You can apply for, There's a lot of strings attached to them, but like you mentioned, the maintenance of them.
Right.
The town, someone at the town will have to be, their task will have to be clearing those, the sidewalks.
I don't know that they need to, if it's a bike path, I don't know that that needs to be snow plowed in
Yeah, I don't
winter.
think it is.
Right.
No, it doesn't have to.
That's a seasonal only kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a sidewalk is a different story.
Yeah.
And I don't even think a sidewalk is really, a sidewalk that length is even appropriate in this town.
No, I think it would be great if it is a kind of a separated path
Yeah.
Right.
that has some buffer between the traffic and roadway.
What would that look like?
It would look like probably either a stone dust path, probably 10 to 12 feet wide, that would be, I don't know, 8, 10 feet off of the roadway.
Yep.
And how would we,
Goffstown has something like that. I think it's the old rail trail,
It is,
Mm.
but it's something like that.
Right. It's more
Except
like
that that's all
carriage road.
separated, but yeah.
Yeah.
well, I've seen stuff like that in Acadia,
Right.
along the pond there. But where would something like that exist in Nottingham between the school and here, where you've got homes that are along the side of the road? Is it?
Along
is
the
it-
river side, perhaps?
Yeah, you'd have to look at kind of alternative alignments of where it could go. And then it would be an effort of either, looking for an easement from landowners, or if it's town-owned land, that makes it easier, or if
Yeah,
it's in the right
Nottingham
of
Town
way.
Forest is on the one side.
Yeah.
It's on the, what's that, the east? Yeah.
Okay.
And then, we should also think of a connection out to Marston property for future, because that's gonna probably have a lot more activities going on, so along that route.
How far is that? It's a couple of miles.
Is.
And that's down McCrillis. So you would maintain that easement as far as McCrillis. That kind of makes sense. That then connects that whole part of town.
Yeah, I think as long as, I like the idea of it being, between the school and here, but if there is some way to look at the bigger vision and the network and connecting closer to, whether it's Pawtuckaway or other places that might attract more recreational usage.
Is that, do you know someone who does grant writing? Because I don't know of anybody that does grant writing. Oh, well, my sister-in-law, but.
Yeah, I can assist in that.
Okay, because if we're gonna look at doing something like this, that will take some funding from the town to be able to do that, correct?
To do the
Funding
grant?
for the town, to do these stone dust paths,
Yes.
because that would cost money.
Yeah, that would be a cost. There would be a cost to that. So you'd look to go out and get grant money in order to construct those, or design and construct them.
That's probably then several years down the road,
Yep.
and the signage will be able to happen a lot sooner, and maybe a bike path with the state sooner, we'll find that
Yeah.
out.
As I keep reading, section 2.3 and 2.4 in the action plan are these two items, a network of a trail system, state designated bike trails, and then proper signage on our major bike roads. So,
Okay, so, yeah, the master plan has covered a lot of those things.
That's stuff we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I know.
all that work, and we're just validating it.
Yeah, right. Good job, Mike.
Yeah.
What else did Sue have? She mentioned a couple things. Yes, straight and wider roads are not safer roads. So we should obviously think about that when we're doing, approving subdivisions, and, the concern of, such wide subdivision roads. They typically don't get pavement markings. But I think it's good that they don't, because makes everybody not have to conform to that one space in the road. So in residential areas, you can have people walking in the road, you know, on the edges of the road that don't have sidewalks, and then the cars don't feel like they have to,
Yeah.
all right, here's the yellow line, you can't cross that, and,
I drive down the middle of Garland Road for that reason.
yeah.
I do.
Right. So you don't want to have those residential roads too wide, because then you get a lot of speeds.
Yeah.
When there's nobody on the road, then you go, oh yeah, this is great, and straight.
Right. I think it's that straight piece that really, you know, if you have a long sight distance, the speeds just pick up.
And I think that's something that's fairly automatic. It's not even, you know, done consciously oftentimes, because it's just like, hey, it can go now.
I'm safe.
Yep.
I'm safe. And that was one of the things we were talking about too with Shore Road and some of the other beach roads, is that if you improve them all up and make them wide and make them nice and smooth, you're gonna find increased speed, because people will do that on a well-maintained and wide road. It's just automatic. So I think it's something to consider when we're talking to them about, anybody that comes before us, talking to them about road improvements. Being, not that we want our roads to be crappy so that people purposefully have to go slow, but I think we need to be aware of it.
What about private roads? Well, the town has like 10 miles of private roads. I don't know if those are covered in here, but do we need to do anything about those? Meaning, I think the town maintains them,
Only,
but they don't.
No.
Okay, so they don't plow
They're-
any of the private roads, or?
yes,
They do plow some of them.
for emergency access only,
Right.
and that's what it is for.
So a town is not allowed to spend money on a private road
Other than
unless
that,
it's declared an emergency lane.
yeah.
So once you declare something an emergency lane, then the town can, doesn't have to, but the town can spend money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not legal to spend money.
It looks like it's, so most of that appears to be right around the lake. Is that accurate based on the map?
There's plenty of chunks
Yeah.
in many
Oh,
places,
other
but
private
mostly,
roads, you mean?
yeah, but most of it is around the lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've heard through some of the planning board hearings is that people are concerned that this town is paying for some of these private roads that get approved, and paying for the maintenance and the plowing and all of that. So when if it's deemed an emergency access, then the town steps in.
Well, when you have like 70 or 80 homes out on a road that it's year-round residents, not just summertime lake residents, but year-round residents, and it's a private road, the fire department and the police department are automatically going to say that, you know, we need to have access to this. And if they, and I don't understand, my whole thing is I don't understand why these lake areas and some of these private roads don't have their own plowing happening. You know, I have a daughter who lives in
I can
Stratford.
tell you why. Because the town has adopted many of these as emergency lanes, and they're spending our money on that.
Then maybe we need to talk to the select board about changing that, because I know of other areas where the association
Maintains the road.
maintains the road. They do their own plowing, they do their own sanding, they do their own improvements.
Mhm.
And if you want a private road, to me, that's what you should be doing. You should be, I think.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, the one that just got the variance,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a consideration that that's gonna be a private road.
It is.
So then
It's
it's,
a private road.
so it is a private road.
Mhm.
And it's currently a private road?
Currently
Oh,
is.
okay. So if they were then adding a private road or looking to
No.
extend that,
Mm-mm.
you know, that's where I think we would have even, you know, all right, so we're gonna add more private road that the town is now gonna adopt as an emergency
Yep.
access.
Is there a process, and this is my being naive, is there a process for residents in an area like that with a private road to ask to have it become a town road? Obviously with tax implications, but, okay.
It's the same process by even which a planning board subdivision would do it. Once the developer and the residents have built up sufficient numbers on the road. And they've got to meet sufficient road
Sure.
quality.
Right.
Right, and that's what the road association would have to do, is develop the road to an acceptable condition. Town isn't gonna adopt a road unless it's already in good condition. We're not gonna take a junk,
Yeah, and
like a used car.
that's what happens a lot on our subdivision roads before they get accepted to allow homes to be built.
Mhm.
So it's a private road,
Yep.
and they are selling houses, they are building houses, and residents move in. And then at some point, that road, the developer says, oh, I need the road to be accepted, and the town's done the inspections and all of that, and they just take the road over.
Is there some way that we can keep track when the town ends up doing maintenance for emergency purposes, so we can keep a record of?
That was another action item in here, was
Okay.
to start inventorying our roads and our maintenance of roads.
Hmm.
Because all of it right now is in Johnny's head. And if and when he retires ever,
Yeah.
that's a valuable resource that we'll have lost.
Yeah.
And so if we don't start making records of it now, we're gonna be in trouble. So I think that's something, I think our town manager's on that,
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah, in fact, I think Paul had mentioned that before, that they're starting to do the road inventory,
Yep.
so that is on the action list for them to do.
Yeah, so we would start maintaining a file, basically, on all the roads in town, and that would include their maintenance schedule.
Okay.
That was the dream.
I did see a section in, it's somewhere in the transportation section, mentioned changing, like seasonal road usage. This isn't the bike thing, but it maybe goes to that road maintenance.
Yeah, and a town doesn't have to accept an emergency lane year-round. It can adopt them, November through April,
Okay.
and just plow, and that's it. That, so any of the costs that we have taken on as a town, we've done voluntarily. We've been under no obligation, and I make a point to remind applicants that it's a private road. It currently is plowed by the town. The town can at any time say it's no longer an emergency lane. Very short period of notice. It's not like a long process.
And I think with the amount of roads that the town is accepting from all of these developments, that is something they're really gonna have to take a good hard look at, because funds only stretch so far.
Yeah.
And there's only so much time, and they need to be making sure that the actual roads that the town owns are the ones that are getting the primary, cut for when they're out there plowing,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and not spending time on these private roads that people should be doing.
Yeah, and I can even go on into, which I don't know whether, the town is, if they're gravel roads that are private, if we're grading them in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
if we're doing.
Sometimes.
So, that's year-round maintenance.
Great.
That's benefiting the private properties that, have access to the road.
So, do you want me to follow up with Paul and Chris to see where we are at with the private roads and what is going on with private roads as far as
I would just,
road maintenance and when they're being done and how much it's costing us?
You may even just have it as, just asking, finding out how the inventory of all the roads are going.
Of all the roads?
Yeah, because I think they were gonna inventory all of them. But I think we do want to focus on some of the private ones.
Yeah, I don't even know if they do break that out as a separate budget piece.
I doubt they
Probably
do.
not. Right.
I doubt they do, yeah. This is just falls under either plowing or
Grading.
grading.
yeah, we need a freeloader line item.
Freeloader. I do want to mention scenic roads. I didn't look through this action items to see if there is anything there. We have, a handful of scenic roads. And it would be good where, I know there's a master plan, maybe section or discussion about, how important scenic roads are and the value of those scenic roads. I don't know if more need to be added to that list or less need to come off as things have changed. One of the concerns I have is that, we had an arborist in the last planning board meeting, and he came in on behalf of a utility company, a power company, that was going to be clearing some trees, trimming some trees on scenic roads, which require a public hearing and then an approval at the planning board. And the arborist had mentioned at the end that, and he made a point, even after we had voted, he made a point to say that the majority of all of the trees that he's having to trim are mostly due to the road maintenance that's occurring with the plowing of, because all these scenic roads are gravel. And that plowing and covering up the root system and engulfing the tree trunks as the road gets wider, as it gets graded. He says that that's, killing those trees.
I would agree with that assessment.
And, trees, he also mentioned, trees can only survive so many hits by the plow. So when those roads get graded wider and wider, those just keep on taking down those outer trees, and then it just gets down to the next level of trees, next level of trees. At some point where they're not gonna be scenic roads, they're just gonna be, really wide gravel, path, big huge swaths.
Yep.
So, the maintenance of those, I've got a lot of concern about. And that falls into also the erosion that happens and wetland filling that just is by happenstance because it's on the side of the roads and it just gets pushed over, so we're losing some of that habitat. It's a problem. I don't know what the solution is. But do we need higher protection for these scenic roads? I don't know, it's just a question.
I mean, that was, granted, a good expert opinion, but I wonder if we need more input on that, because it makes perfect sense, but at the same time, it's only one person's perspective on.
Right.
And we do have, the master plan calls out scenic roads as being one of the main strategies for maintaining the town and the state it's in, so.
The rural
yeah.
character of the town.
Right.
So maybe there's an assessment that could occur of those scenic roads by, maybe there's a professional that, for a budgetary line item and maybe next year's budget for the planning board or something like that we would include.
Yeah.
Go out there and just do a visual assessment of our scenic roads.
Well, I was gonna say, could we get and I know there is one somewhere, a list of the scenic roads in town, and then take a few of them
I
and.
think it's in the master.
Yeah,
It is, yeah, I have it.
Yeah, that's why I said I knew it was somewhere. And then take a look at them and see just to see what we see and.
Yeah, we can photo document them and all look at them.
Yeah.
Just so that, because I know, is it Guile? The other end of Guile?
Guile is
Off of
one.
Mc-
Yep,
Okay.
Guile from Acrylis to Route 152.
That's what I thought. I know, because I.
That's a scenic road.
Yes. And it is, it's just a gravel in it, and they have been upgrading out there, because of the mud season. Taking a look at that, I can look at that area, because that's right up my backyard, just about.
And the two subjects from last time, Kennard and Priest.
Is Garland on there too?
No.
No.
No, as a
No.
possible addition.
Oh, we don't
Oh,
have any, we don't have any possible additions. Are you recommending one?
Sure.
Garland?
Yeah.
Garland isn't gravel at all though, right?
No.
Just a small
paved.
section at one end.
2011, right, I think?
But does it have to be, I guess? Does a scenic road have to be gravel?
Well, they aren't on the state because they've got scenic outlooks and stuff all over the place and those aren't gravel, those are all paved.
I mean, we do have a lot of stone wall, we do have several historic buildings
Right.
on Garland.
I mean, is that something just as a road we could,
Oh, yeah, I think there's a process by which the citizens, the residents petition the town. And you have
Or
to meet-
even if-
You have to meet certain criteria.
if we don't meet the criteria, just as a community, having a voice in what happens to some of the elements of the road? Granted, there's private property all over that, but I don't want to take my stone wall down.
But it's the town's road, and, you know, I
Right.
mean, so
That's true.
the town has control of everything up into halfway down those stone walls.
Fair.
So we have some control that the town can do as to the aesthetics of it.
So what is it that makes, that qualifies a road as scenic? You mentioned historic
It's
pieces on there, or properties.
in the historic resources section. It says roads with attractive large trees and/or stone walls along the side may be designated as scenic roads under state statute 231-157. There may be more definition in there somewhere.
Right. Right.
I'll actually look and see what else might be in there.
So when you go up to the town square where the Historical Society building is that part
Ledge
of
Farm.
Ledge Farm? Is that
Yep.
a scenic road? Okay.
Yep, Ledge Farm
Because
is-
that one to me, would be meeting that definition.
Yep, Ledge Farm from Nottingham Square to the Epping Town Line.
And so why is Kennard? Is it just because of the stone wall? I mean, most of Nottingham's surrounded by stone walls.
Kennard from Smoke to Freeman Hall.
So that's the length of it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty in there.
And it's paved now, I think.
No,
Part
it's
of it
not.
is.
Just, yeah, on a one hill in the very middle,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But Freeman Hall to
Oh,
the, what's that little dirt road that goes down to Priest Road?
It's basically a little private road, yeah.
Yeah, but it's paved up until that point
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, the first, what's that, about 2 miles maybe?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's designated up to Freeman Hall, so I guess, yeah.
What's the one as you come down Freeman Hall, you go around that corner, it heads off
To the right,
to the right?
that's Priest Road.
Jabig, are you thinking?
Which
No.
way are you
Where
going?
you
It goes that way.
Are you leaving town center, going towards that side of town?
If you're coming from Route 4
Yep.
in,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you've passed Freeman Hall Road,
Mm-hmm.
and you're heading back towards 152,
Mm-hmm.
as there's a dirt road that goes off to the left. You go around the corner and go like this as if you were going to the dump.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dirt road up there that goes up.
That's Jabig.
Oh, that's no
Jabig.
longer dirt, they
They
repaved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was dirt for a lengthy period of time while they were redoing the road, but
Okay.
it's back to pavement.
So, is
Is
that
Jabig a
area?
scenic road?
I was just gonna ask.
Interesting.
No, I thought it was for some
Oh.
reason.
That's interesting.
And that's why I'm saying.
Is that
'cause
another
it
nomination?
can't, it shouldn't be. a
Oh, it's
designated-
Guile Road. Guile Road's what I saw. Oh, sorry.
I'm just thinking that, and that has beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Right,
scenery
and
through
old
there.
large lots, old farmhouses.
Mhm.
I'm not seeing anything in the statute about it having to be a dirt road.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
It's 10 persons, voters or landowners who abut may petition.
If I remember correctly, the protections aren't huge, other than, you know, when somebody goes to do any maintenance on the road, you have a public hearing so that you don't straighten all the corners and cut down all the large trees. It's basically, that's really the short version of what that protection provides you.
Yeah, and we've had, over the course of the past few years, almost every year, an electric company come in and request tree trimming on scenic roads. We haven't had any, no, there has been some public for comment. But those were, yeah, they had to cut a big tree down because it was like rotted. And
Yeah,
the rest of them, yeah, they're all just trimmings and,
yeah.
All it's saying is that maintenance to the road can't result in removal of the stone walls or the trees that have been.
The things that made it scenic,
so-
you leave them.
Except.
sounds like we're not doing too good on that.
Well,
I haven't read the whole thing yet.
I think it just provides a mechanism whereby the local residents get notification that, hey, the town's talking to this arborist and they're talking about tree trimming on the road, and if you really care, you need to come to the meeting and say something.
Yeah.
Don't take the big red oak on the corner, we love that tree. Okay, leave it alone.
Yeah, and there was another time where the residents said that they didn't want it taken down.
Yeah.
And they just wanted some trimming or something, and the power company worked with them.
Yeah, that's all. It's a safety.
The only thing that I haven't looked at the most recent publication. It has to be 2 times publicized in a newspaper of general circulation in the last at least 7 days prior to the hearing. So that there are exceptions where you can take the trees, but
Okay.
anyway, I didn't see anything about paved roads, so.
I'm just gonna do a time check. We're close to 8, another 10 minutes. Does people wanna stop at 8? Does that sound good, or do you
that
wanna?
sounds fine.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Do we want to talk about when we're going to meet again?
sure, well, let's give the conversation another 5 minutes.
Okay. I want to allow us time to talk about that, because I know we're all on tight schedules.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't wanna spend too much overtime today. I think let's go back through what we have done so far, and then try and identify some of those action items and who would do them. And then we can set up for the next meeting.
It's good.
All right? And you probably took better notes than I, because I was talking the whole time, but Teresa, you said you would look at the potential paving cycle, when things would be coming through.
Right, check with the DOT.
Yeah. I'm gonna check on getting a sign map and getting the requirements and costs for putting up bicycle signs on the state route and maybe some other routes that we'd want. I was gonna talk to Barrington and Northwood about signs program as well.
Mhm.
And that's where I've kind of stopped off.
And Joe is going to check with the police on incidents
Yeah.
regarding bike.
Bike incidents, their frequency data, if we have that, in the locations.
Yep, that'd be great.
Assuming all the shenanigans about getting accident police reports and stuff is.
No, they're usually readily available.
Oh, I know, I'm kidding. There was something on the Nottingham Police Facebook page about
Oh, really?
not being able to get the documents or something, and then, I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing, but it seemed funny.
Somebody was complaining about something.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to check with Chris and/or Paul about the inventory of the roads. See how they're doing with that, and if there is any kind of a way to break out the cost of the private road.
Is that
Is
rain?
that rain?
Hope the laundry's not on all that.
We're going to at least have our meeting until this stops.
Right?
I don't think we came to what do you want to do about the scenic road kind of documenting those? Should we photo document them? Should we hire somebody? Should we do both? Just kind
I
of,
don't know, to me, a reasonable action, I don't know that that's something we need to spend a lot of money on, is maybe have some kind of public service announcement kind of thing. It could even be on the town website, where here's a list of the roads that are designated as scenic in town, right? So that list could be made public.
yeah.
And if you or residents on your road feel that your road meets criteria, petition the town,
Okay.
right? I think that's enough.
Well, that would address, do we need to add the scenic roads?
Right.
But it doesn't address what the condition of our current scenic roads are as
Oh,
far
I see what you're
as,
saying, yeah.
as far as, is there a lot of overfill from road maintenance? Is there a lot of trees that are damaged from, you know, and it may not just be even plows, it may be people, you know, like dirt biking or, you know, whatever, going through and hitting them, snow machines or whatever. I don't think it necessarily has to be from our town plows,
No,
but,
it could be from a butters too, you know.
Right.
They may not even be aware that there's a scenic road, and they've
Right.
cut down all the trees in their front yard so they can see the road.
right,
I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it may be some awareness there.
I've seen, and I don't know if these are NGO signs, but like scenic byways signs and things like that on other areas, is that,
That's a whole program.
okay?
It's pretty involved to get kind of that designation through, and there's a lot of documentation to it. It's more difficult than just putting up a sign.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough traffic to warrant that. I just didn't know if there's something more localized to say, hey, you're on a scenic road at Nottingham or whatever, but.
I mean, that might be great for, you know, some local interests,
Yeah, little brown sign, scenic road.
yeah,
Yeah, it could be on the street sign below it,
right,
right.
scenic road.
that would
Right.
work. That would work, if we could do that. Can we do that?
I would think so.
Oh,
Where,
yeah.
where there are
On
own
our street
towns?
signs? Yeah, yeah.
Town street, okay.
Yeah, so a little brown one, scenic, even if it just said scenic. And you posted that right under where it said, you know, Guile,
Maybe people would be less apt to throw their
Yeah,
bottles
right.
and cigarette packs out.
McTrash.
Yeah, make trash out.
I was walking on Garland yesterday and saw all those Sky vodka bottles again that were, it's,
Well, I always get a kick out of walking along Garland, and it's like, who's drinking the Natty Lights and whipping them at such frequency? Like, you can literally count steps. It's like,
Yeah.
they must be getting rid of the empties all at once, and
Before they
it's,
get home.
it's the distance of reaching over and doing that. Reach over, do that, because it's like every 25 feet. That's all I can think of. I was like, this person is so regular. Like, I don't get this.
Yeah, maybe they feel guilty about putting all 6 out at once.
Yeah. Or taking them home and recycling them.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
No, I don't either.
I just don't.
Makes me laugh, though.
Well, maybe we'll just not, I think that's a great idea on the signs. You know, maybe that's something.
Because that would raise public awareness.
Right.
Hey, hey, this is a scenic road? Hey, that's cool. I didn't know I lived on a scenic road.
Yeah.
So, will you ask where you're doing signs, will you find out about those as well?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
It's something different, but I'll take that on.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's a sign. Or maybe Mike doesn't have any.
Yeah, but it's a road.
Mike
I
do
was
it.
I was actually thinking of maybe I should go out and volunteer to look at the scenic roads and ride along them and
Yeah.
take
Do you have
down
a
to their
GoPro?
condition.
Put it on
Actually,
your
I do
helmet.
have a GoPro.
That's not
and
a
I
bad
also have
idea.
Write it on your helmet.
because you can just take screenshots of different spots instead of having to watch the whole video, but.
You an expert on that?
Huh?
Are you
No, I'm
volunteering
not.
A follow-up?
I just got back from a trip to Jordan and I took like 600 photos, so now I'm like, I'm not gonna go through all these to find the good ones.
I'm never gonna look at these.
I think there might have been one other thing that we talked about, although it was the road maintenance inventory. I think someone said that's happening, but maybe we're gonna follow up to make sure.
I thought you were
Teresa was
gonna
gonna do
talk
that.
You have that? Okay.
Yeah, that's the inventory of the roads and the maintenance of them.
And so the dream of the master plan committee was that we would start keeping a file on the roads.
Well,
So-
I saw in the offices, when I was looking for the master plan, several books that said roads
Okay.
on them, so I know that something is happening with
Cool.
roads anyway, and they're going into binders.
Excellent.
So you want to find out what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, I'm doing the road stuff.
Okay. Is that enough?
Yeah, I think
Action
so.
items?
I think so,
For an hour's meeting, I think we did pretty well.
yeah.
So when do you want to meet next?
If you've got to look at all of the scenic roads and come up with a report on that, we should give you a little bit of time.
Do you want to do it in, is month too far?
I think June would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
June,
we've got a
what
meeting
would that
and then
be?
we've got 2 meetings coming up, the
Yeah.
16th and the 30th.
Mhm.
And we've got coming up, so. I don't think we have anything going on in June at this point, right, for?
Not that I'm aware of, nope.
Did you want to do June 7th?
I don't have my calendar because it's normally
That's
my-
a, if we could bump it out one more week, because June 7th is the night before high school graduation.
Yeah.
Well,
we
the
can do that.
14th, we have planning board,
Oh.
So why don't we do it that next, the following one from that?
right? Don't we have planning
June
board meeting?
20 something,
Yeah,
maybe?
June 28th, we have planning board.
So June
As
21.
long as we have cases, so it would be the 21st.
First day of summer.
That gives us a whole lot longer to go, unless we want to do it on a Tuesday night. But we have to make sure
I
we're
mean, I
not
can,
involving with
I can do
Kia.
the night before graduation, it's not that big a deal, it's not like a, yeah, we can do 6, 7, instead of making it go crazy out into the future.
So June 7th,
That's fine with me.
Sure.
June 7th.
Yeah, if it was June 8th, that'd be a problem, but June 7th works.
Okay.
Does that
I
work for
mean,
you?
yeah, I'm not opposed to having it on the 6th either, if Tuesday, doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me either.
Same.
Tuesday's fine.
Will that help you?
Not necessarily, no. I don't have a lot to do, it's not like I'm the principal or
So let's leave
I
it
don't
out.
have the awards, no, I'm not. I'm not, no longer.
Let's leave it out on Wednesday then.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably easier, just in case we get a zoning case.
Right, and well, and I know Plia also uses this room, and I don't know if that's
On
one of their
Tuesdays.
nights or not.
Right. No, I'm fine with 6, 7.
Okay.
All right, I'll make sure we have the room.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, you got it.
Those in favor?
All
Bye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
right.